Well, it looks like we have everybody in the room who's here on time. So, welcome to today's webinar. My name is Cami Griffiths. I'm the founding executive director of digitalLIFT, and we'll do more introductions in a minute. But today's webinar is Bridging Safe Access: How Nonprofits Can Help New Internet Users Stay Safe Online. And we're doing this webinar as part of Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which is important for us all to remember the risks involved in using the internet and that people new to using the internet might not be aware of what they're in for. So we're hoping that you gain some good nuggets in this webinar that can benefit your community. So Cynthia, let's go to the next slide. Great. So I have been doing this work, digital inclusion work specifically, for over 20 years, starting first as a computer instructor for the Parks Department in New York City, and then later for for TechSoup, where digitalLIFT started as a program. So I started out as an instructor, but have had all sorts of roles in this world of helping people get online, and it's critical that we help them get online safely. So Cynthia.
So I am Cynthia Stewart. I am the executive director of the nonprofit organization DART Collective. I got involved in this. DART started out as a National Science Foundation funded project through the University at Buffalo, which is my day job. So that's the job that pays the bills, and this is the job that feeds the passion. So we set out to make tools to help specifically older adults recognize and navigate scams. And turns out they work for everybody. So we're really glad to partner with digitalLIFT to help everybody stay safe and keep their money for the things they want their money for.
Very important. And for those of you new to digitalLIFT, we're a nonprofit based in San Francisco, but we have partners also in Texas and really throughout the country. And we've been focused on closing the digital divide, helping people get online at home independently and safely for 17 years. And internet safety has always been important. It's more important now than ever. So let's go to the next slide where I will cover our agenda. So Cynthia is going to start us off by sharing just what we're up against. What's this challenge that we're facing right now? I will talk about the online train the trainer that we have available in our curriculum and just really our approach to helping keep our new internet users safe. And then Cynthia will talk about DART Academy and go through some of the content that they have available. And then we want to share ideas on how you all can integrate safety into your digital inclusion programs. And we'll hopefully have some time at the end for Q&A and also discussion. So if you have something that you've done that works really well, please do share that at the end of this presentation. Next slide.
All right, so the digital safety challenge. This chart kind of says it all. It is impossible to overstate this challenge. A few stats that are not on this screen that I recently ran across. The average American receives 377 scam approaches a year. So a little quick math says that's more than one a day. So it's no longer a sometimes, it's an all the time. We're always being bombarded. And the average American, 80% of Americans think they can spot a scam. Meanwhile, 70% of Americans have fallen for a scam. As you can see, it's across age groups, and they are all increasing exponentially. Older adults lose the most money because they have the most money to lose. But all of us are targets, every age group. And despite heroic efforts over the years to educate folks, we're just losing more and more. One fallacy I want to bust is the idea that older adults are quote unquote more vulnerable to scams. The research actually shows that 20 and 30-year-olds are the most vulnerable as far as the number of scam approaches versus how many they fall for. They fall more often than any other age groups. Older adults, though, lose more money because they are targeted more and because they have more money to lose. You can, you steal from a 20-year-old and maybe you're going to be able to buy yourself a cup of coffee. But somebody's life savings, that is an attractive target. So more people are after it. and a bigger payday if you succeed as a scammer. But I want to bust that myth. They're not more vulnerable. Now, individual mileage may vary. Some individuals are certainly vulnerable, but these are older adults they are our trusted elders. They do have wisdom. They have a lot they shouldn't be counted out. We're all in this together. Scammers are not a new problem. There have been scammers at least as long as there have been humans. My husband is a biologist, and he swears there have been scammers longer than there have been humans. And fraudsters have always been early adopters of whatever is the latest technology, ever since that technology was the printing press. Little known, right after Gutenberg's Bible came off the press, the next thing on there was propaganda. So whatever's the latest technology, scammers are going to figure out how to use it. The difference now is the scope of that technology. As of 2023, there are more cell phones than humans in the world, and that's subscriptions, not just devices. Almost everybody has a device, and increasingly opting out of the digital world is just not an option. You can't really live your life without being online, at least to some extent, which means if nobody is safe from digital scammers. In the past, con men had to select their targets and invest time, and so that meant those of us without a lot of resources didn't have to worry about it. That's no longer the case. If you only get a little bit, but you get it from a lot of people, that can be worth somebody's time. The technology also allows scammers to reach more people more efficiently than ever before. They can send a text message to everybody in the same area code at the same time. And it only takes a few people to fall for it for them to make money. Robocalls are another technology that allows them to call a ton of people at once, but then they only have to invest time in the people who call them back or the people who click the links in the text messages. So they're only investing time in people who've already shown themselves to be susceptible. It allows them to learn, technology allows them to learn more about their targets than ever before. If a scam will be more convincing, if the scammer knows details, they can usually get those details off social media. Maybe not yours if you're keep everything private, but are you sure that everybody, all your family and friends are keeping everything private and that they haven't posted anything about you? It's amazing how, with a little digging, how much you can learn about somebody. Technology makes the deceptions easier than ever before, easier, cheaper to produce, and harder to spot. Sending fake emails and creating fake websites to collect personal information, that's been around since the mid-90s, since really the internet was a thing. But the rise of AI and tools like ChatGPT take those telltale grammar and spelling mistakes out of there. The AIs have better grammar than actual people, so you're not going to have those little telltales anymore. Spoofing emails and telephone numbers, that's not a new technology. Faking caller IDs, the technology to fake caller IDs was developed right along with the caller ID technology. That's been around since, and the first company that offered caller ID spoofing launched in 2004, so 20 years ago. But people still assume that the number on their caller ID is the person who's calling them. And they trust that, but it's not a safe assumption. It only takes 3 seconds of audio to be able to make a convincing simulation of somebody's voice. Now think about that, 3 seconds. That means if I get your phone number and I call you, if you answer the phone, I've got your voice. If you don't answer the phone, I've got your voicemail outgoing message. I've got your voice. Now I can sound like you to anybody that knows you. And technology allows scammers to coordinate better than they ever have before. Scammers are the most collaborative people in the world. They share their information. They work together. It is international organized crime. That is not an overstatement at all. The other thing, the topic that hopefully I'll have time to show you a little more later, the technology that everybody's talking about, generative AI. It's not just voices. it's photos, it's images. 3 years ago, when I started this project, the best estimates were that the average deep fake videos, you could always spot them. There was always something wrong. And maybe in 10 years, you wouldn't be able to spot them. And that's out the window now. They are unspottable except by other AIs now. Um, you can make an image to illustrate an idea with just a few words. The image on this slide, I couldn't figure out what the image would be. I told it, can you make me an image to illustrate the idea that scammers are using technology to target people? It came up with this in 3 seconds. So it can really help us with our work, but in the hands of scammers, it really makes the world more dangerous. You have to verify everything. I'll hand it back.
Great. Thank you so much for that, setting the stage for what the problem is and just how urgent it is and how the AIs have made it possible for people to be just that much more effective. Next slide. So what I am excited to share, and hopefully some of you have already explored our free curriculum and online training for trainers. So as an agency, again, we've been around for 17 years. Internet safety has been a part of what we've taught, but over the years we've grown the material and added on the new things that have emerged. And so what we've made available for free is a train the trainer course. So if you're someone who's working directly with a learner of all ages, this will help you understand how to teach internet safety. And then to go along with that, we have curriculum that you can print out that has activities and other content, which I'll go into more in a future slide. So they go hand in hand. And then down at the bottom is a link to the page that will take you to this information. We are recording this webinar and we will follow up with everyone and include the links that are in this deck. Next slide. So specifically about the Train the Trainer course, it is only in English. It's intended for anyone working with adults of all ages on how to teach internet safety and responsibility and some of the key concepts that you should really consider, specifically how to work with adult learners and what our motivations are as learners, and then some other approaches and resources for teaching digital citizenships and other resources for how you would be a trainer. So the photo here is a good illustration of, and you don't always have to be that person in the front of the room, because if the idea of public speaking terrifies you, I got you. But this can also be something that you use one-on-one with learners or in just kind of small groups. Next slide. So here's a little snapshot of the curriculum we've created that has the learner booklet and the trainer guide. So they're used separately, print out for the learners and give them that to refer to. And then as a trainer, you have more guidance and things that you can use to support you in doing this work. And we have translated the learner booklet into Spanish, Chinese, and Tagalog. And we have other languages that we've translated our curriculum into. We just don't have those readily available. But if you're working with a population of folks in their languages aren't shown here, do send us a message and we'll see what we can do to help you. It is very, very important to have these resources available to you as you work with your community members, because we don't want to teach someone how to do something online and not talk about what issues they might run into by being online. So know that this is freely available. You can use it as much as you want for as long as you want. And if we do updates, then we will push out messages with those updates. Next slide. So to speak specifically about the curriculum, so that's the learner booklet. It's going to go over recognizing some of the common dangers. And so here's a little illustration of some of the things that are covered in the curriculum and how to protect your personal information. Of course, we've all heard about strong passwords, but what are some other habits that you can share with folks? And making sure that the websites that you're viewing are trustworthy, and really thinking about, is this good information? And before I share it with other people, because you would hate to put other people in harm's way unintentionally. And really how to be responsible and respectful internet user as we share this online community together, and what can we do to model good behavior and share that with the people who are learning these skills for the first time or building on their skills. Next. All right, back to you.
All right, so we are going to take a look at a couple of Dart's tools. So these are some of our characters. We tried to come at this from the idea of what can we do to our first question was, what can we do to get information in front of the people who don't want to hear it, who aren't looking for it, who are sometimes actively avoiding it. And we decided, it needed to be fun. We needed to get creative. There's information is out there for the people who want to look up tips and tricks. They can find them. There's stuff out there for the people who are searching. It's the people who aren't searching that we were most worried about. So, and we also wanted to find a way for people to be able to practice the protective behaviors. You read a website and that stays with you for a little bit. Maybe you watch a video, maybe that stays a little bit longer. But once you've done something, it sticks with your memory a lot longer. We hear this all the time. It wasn't real until somebody I knew fell for one. Suddenly that makes it real. Seeing a scam and recognizing it makes it more real, and having hands-on opportunities. So that's the kinds of things we were trying to incorporate. We're also trying really to get people to share their stories, to destigmatize being scammed. I think it's very important when working with people to admit, hey, I almost fell for one the other day, and talk about where you found it. Hey, it was a Facebook quiz, and oh, that sounded really funny. Could I learn my personality type and learn how that was going to tell me exactly how many steps I needed to lose weight? And then I realized as I'm filling it out, oh, they're just really digging for my personal information. Let yourself be the person that people know that helps tip them off. We got to help each other. The scammers are organized. We gotta band together. In order to that end, we developed two different tools. The one here on the left is a mobile game. It's called Deep Cover, and that was specifically aimed at the people who aren't looking. And then Dart Academy, our e-learning platform for the people who do want more information, who will dig a little deeper and spend a little more time with the topic. So Deep Cover, we took the idea that people, even when they're super busy, a lot of, especially older folks, we find time every day to play our favorite solitaire puzzle game, because the gaming industry has spent years convincing us that staves off dementia, that keeps your mind sharp. And so if you find time to do that, let's use that time to remind you to be on the lookout for scams. So we took the most popular puzzle games, we wrapped them up in this narrative about the digital agency for reducing trickery. And as an agent, you are out to stop the society for covert attacks and mass manipulation who's trying to steal from your friends and neighbors. And you solve puzzles to do that. And as you go, you get little bits of stories of the victims you're helping. Just that little daily reminder to be vigilant. For those who want more, we developed Dart Academy. This is our e-learning platform, and I'm actually going to take us in there. No, I don't want to say. So this is Dart Academy. We kept the same idea. These are the bad guys. You're out to stop them. You've got your mission. How does it work? Every course is divided into 3 sections. We've got a learn section, which is multimedia to appeal to different learning styles. It is active learning, so there are quizzes and activities in there, but then every course also has a standalone practice session. So if you've got your own curriculum about identity theft, you might still want to send people home with go do the practice section on identity theft in Dart Academy as a reinforcement to what you're already teaching them. And then everything has an evaluation section. We did use a little bit of gaming in there. We have bells and whistles and badges to give you that little dopamine hit for coming around. These are the courses we have right now. We have more coming. I wanted to just show you a couple of highlights. So for grandparent scams, if I go in here, you can jump around. I want to go to techniques. We have in here, we have audio clips. So you can hear, what does that call in the middle of the night sound like? You can feel what would that do to you emotionally. And we have opportunities for people to reflect on that. So building that mental muscle memory and empathy for people who have fallen victim to scams. For tech support scams, I like the practice section on this one is particularly fun. It looks like we've got a virus. Oh no, we've got this pop-up window, and then you've got to choose your own adventure. How would you react? If you would call the number, okay, here's the recording of what they might say, and then you can practice what were the red flags that you spotted. So that's the idea. Give you real examples of scams and the ability to practice your behaviors in the safe way. And we have those 5 courses for now. Those are the 5 top scams targeting older adults. The ones we've got now are optimized for an individual learner. But we will very soon, hopefully next month, be rolling out the same courses, but optimized for group presentations. So what we did, not so much text on the screen, more, but we have a script for the presenter. So if you want to present it, it has a script and a pop-up window, or we added a voiceover for those who are shy about public speaking. You can pick one of our mentor agents from Deep Cover to be your guide, and their voice will do the narration of the content on the screen. We also have short topics coming up on generative AI and deep fakes, cryptocurrency, all little things that could be handled in a smaller form of content. Again, trying to give people just something to constantly remind them to be on the lookout for scams and get into those hot technology technique topics. And how are we doing on time? I'm going to go ahead and show this. So this is one, in order to teach people about deep fakes, we generated some deep fakes. And I'll let President Kennedy tell you about it.
To protect against deep fake scams, always pause and verify if a video or audio from a loved one seems off. Check with other family members or trusted sources before reacting. This demonstration shows that anyone can manipulate footage and mimic voices, even mine, to say anything.
Now, I don't know, say, if you've ever seen Forrest Gump, the movie, back then, and that wasn't that long ago, was it? It took the power of Hollywood to do something like that. We did that in a lab at UB with software that is freely available to anybody. So that's how easy it is. So we're trying to use the same technology the scammers are using to immunize people against the scammers.
Excellent. So this is all great information and information that we want you to take back to your organizations and figure out how to layer it into what you're already offering or provide bite-sized pieces to your folks. So next slide. So the important part about this is that it shouldn't be an afterthought or an add-on, that being safe online should be part of every conversation as you're helping people get online. That if you're teaching folks how to use their email, then also talk about the phishing scams where a link might bring them to a website that looks like their bank, or really any attachment, but specifically what to look for from attachments. I'm constantly like, I'll give myself a good 20 seconds to pause and analyze. I'll share it with my coworkers if I'm not sure. I'm beyond being embarrassed if I like this might be a silly question. Like, who cares if it's a silly question? I would rather be safe than to have clicked on a file because it's very easy to make an attachment look like a different type of attachment. Um, Always talking about creating passwords that are something that won't be easy to guess. And I've had many learners just blurt out their password in a public setting because they don't take it very seriously, or maybe they think it's funny. So encouraging them to keep those passwords safe. And if they need to write them down to ensure that that booklet or that paper stays in a safe place. And the password managers can be a little confusing, but work together with them to figure out if that's the right way for them to manage their passwords. And then the multi-factor authentication is going to be confusing and frustrating for some folks. And of course, they're going to say, well, do I have to do this? And it's like, well, it's for their safety. And over time, they'll get used to using it and it will be just second nature to them. But just think about all these like humps that you have to get over as you're getting people to a place where they're freely and independently able to interact online to do the things that they need to do. And so that's the goal, is to help them get there. And being as empathetic for their to their needs and their frustrations as they're going through this, that yeah, it's frustrating, but I'd rather do this than have my email hijacked. So they really need to know what they're up against. And then when it comes to social media or other media that we're taking in, it is so important to have a critical eye and understand that what you're seeing may just not be real, like the video that Cynthia just shared. And we've seen tons of this come out recently. And it's getting a little overwhelming, even for someone who we teach this all the time. I'm online all the time. I have a 13-year-old son. We talk about this at home. You almost can't trust anything you see online. And Cynthia said this the other day as we were doing planning, that I really appreciated this. And sorry, Cynthia, if I'm stealing your thunder, but that if there's a media between the two people, that you can't always trust. There's some filter between the two of you. So I can guarantee you I am real right now. But other media, yes, you just definitely need to pay close attention and have discussions about what they're seeing online. And ideally catching folks before they fall down some conspiracy theory rabbit hole and they're convinced of certain things that are just not true because what they're seeing online has been doctored. All right, next slide.
I want to jump on that before I tackle what's on this slide. Anytime there's media, you can't trust, you need to verify it. And I can assure you that I'm real, but I will admit there is a deep fake version of me in a lab at UB, because we made it for the deep fake lessons. So if I can figure out how to get her to do my work, she might show up in the future. But it is, you have to verify everything. You have to verify everything. So combining the two with each other, or combining the two with what you're doing. digitalLIFT's curriculum is broader than DART's. We focus really on just scams. But they go together really nicely. As Cami said, always include the safety with whatever technology you're teaching people how to use. And you can give them assign those practice sessions, or just turn them on to, hey, here's something you can do, because it's all about remembering what you know. What scammers are very good at is getting you not to think about what you know. We do all know, no, don't click suspicious links. We know don't open suspicious attachments. We've all heard this. And we don't want to condescend to people and assume that somehow they haven't heard it, or that the people who've fallen for scams haven't heard it. They knew it too. I've heard so many stories that ended with, and then I hung up the phone and then I thought. And that's the key. You don't think. They keep you in your feelings and they don't let you think. So anything that can help buy people keep their vigilance level up. So you can combine digitalLIFT's teach online safety curriculum, use Dart Academy's practice sessions, or use Dart Academy as a supplement. Hey, we talked a little bit about how people get your personal information. Here you can do a deep dive into identity theft. There are multiple ways these things can be presented, and they work well together, and they will work with whatever you are already doing as well. This is a yes and kind of situation. We're not everybody who's teaching in this space, we're not competitors, we're collaborators. We have to, everything you're doing and what we're doing and what digitalLIFT is doing and what everybody else is doing, we have to keep working together to make a dent in this problem. Back to you.
So this is a critical piece, not just for internet safety, but for teaching adults anything, that understanding where they're coming from and what their needs are, and very specific to them and where they're at. And the condescension is really critical. Nobody wants, especially adults, we don't want someone talking down to us or saying things that are so obvious, but you also want to see, like, what do you know? Like, are there questions or confusion about these topics? And absolutely adapt to their language and culture and the different levels. I mentioned that we have the curriculum in other languages, and we want to provide it to more communities. And the links ideally go to websites in their language, and some of the cultural references are also things that they can relate to. That, like the grandparent scam or people on certain benefits, making the connection between them and a potential scam, really helping them understand, yeah, this could happen to you. And sharing examples, like Cynthia said, if folks feel the safety in speaking about this to their community, to their neighbors, to their friends, to those that they see at their community center, to the social worker, whoever they interact with at their community center or their senior center, talk about it. And that way people, I think, will pay more attention, as this is a real thing. This isn't just something that is talked about on TV, that real people are being targeted, and that they'll be more vigilant if they know what to look for. And also, like, if it happens to them, having that trust so that they can share it and know somebody that can help them get through it. And if there's more of the peer learning, co-learning, where you have someone in the community that is already pretty tech savvy, have them go through our training for trainers, then they'll have even more confidence sharing what they've learned over time, and being kind of the advocate that folks can rely on. And as things come out, surely in a year from now, there's we get another thing that Cynthia will be making a new training for. But keep learning, keep growing, keep supporting people, and feel like we've accomplished something if we've saved someone from being scammed.
So some practical tips. I would think we keep saying this, but it really is at the heart of everything. Share stories. Add a safety moment at the start or at the end of your class and share a real world story. I try to do this in all of my newsletters. Find something that's happening in the real world and talk about it. Talk about something you've seen. It helps destigmatize it. It helps make it real, and it can help build empathy too. And in that, I'm gonna share a story actually, talking about scammers using the technology to send text messages to thousands of people at once, impersonating celebrities, and scams where you think, oh, how did anybody fall for that? I was doing a focus group, and somebody's like, yeah, my brother's friend got a text message. Now I'm in Buffalo, remember, Buffalo Bills, go Bills. Josh Allen is our quarterback. This brother's friend got a text message from Josh Allen saying he needed $500. Now, Josh Allen makes a ton of money as the quarterback of the Bills. And she was just scoffing. How could this person ever believe that Josh Allen needed this money? And I stopped her. I said, well, think about it. First of all, that scammer probably sent that same text message to everyone with a 716 phone number. And so if you think of that many thousands of people, it only takes a few to give you $500 to make it worth your time. Josh Allen is known for his charitable work. This text probably really said, I'd like you to donate $500 to my favorite charity. And it was probably a fake charity scam. And she's like, oh. And the Bills fans are notorious for supporting any cause Josh Allen supports. So it didn't surprise me, but getting to that place of empathy was super important. So sharing stories really, really helps with that. Incorporate any of our materials into what you're doing. And if there's materials, if you have an idea, please share them. I'm looking for the next material. If you've got curricula that you would like to make available online, we can talk about putting your materials up on our platform as well. Use digitalLIFT's materials as templates to share with your partner sites, and tie lessons to real life goals. I'm trying to remember what it stands for, but the trendy thing in academia is SMART goals. And I forget what SMART always: specific, measurable, achievable. I can't remember the rest.
Timely,
Timely, and
relevant.
yes, that's it.
I think.
But
Smart. Oh, I had those transposed, but yes.
yes, tie them to real goals. So why are you learning this? All right, we're learning social media. We're going to learn how to do Facebook so I can connect with my grandchildren. And we're going to learn about your privacy settings and talk about all the ways. At that point, here's all the ways that why you need to do that. All the things that people can use that information for, how they can use that to fool you or your friends and relatives into thinking they are you.
And before you move on, I'll share a story as well. I don't think we've touched much on the friend or romance scams, but my mom, who is in her late 70s in assisted living and thankfully doesn't have access to any of her money because my brother has made sure that she won't give away money because she has been known to do that. But she was contacted on Facebook through Messenger from different people posing as celebrities or a very attractive man. And she's lonely and wants people to talk to. And she was absolutely convinced that the person she was talking to was Mark Harmon, the actor, and that he was her boyfriend. And she was very upset at my brother and sister and I for telling her that wasn't him. And she would hold up her phone because it's Google or it's a Facebook Messenger and it looks like him, but obviously it's a fake account. So I share that because of just how invested people get in these relationships that are intended to trick them into giving money or something. And at some point, it was a different person posing as a different person who told her he was going to come visit her. And she got all dressed up. And then he asked her for a gift card to help him pay for something. And that was when she was like, not only did she not have the money to pay him, but that was thankfully she was like, something smells fishy. But what upset me the most was just how excited she got to have this person come visit her. And there's just these people doing these horrible things out there. And so if we can do whatever we can to keep our older adults safe from this, catch them before they've gotten into a long-term relationship, either friendship or otherwise, with folks who are ultimately going to try to scam them.
Yeah.
So next slide.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm gonna jump off of you jumping off. One of the reasons I think it's really important to integrate these safety lessons as you're teaching people how to use the technology is once somebody goes down a rabbit hole, the research shows you can't get them back out without extreme emotional devastation. And sometimes with these friendship and romance scams, that's the bigger impact, is people are so devastated and betrayed. So there's a term we've adopted, tree bunking. You've got to get to them with what the scammers are up to before they encounter it, because you'll never convince them that's what's happening once they're emotionally invested. Same with conspiracy theories. Once somebody has started to go down that rabbit hole, it's very hard to stop them. Much better to teach them the red flags first.
Yeah.
And ultimately, all you can do is help people, give them the tools and realize they're adults. But all right, measuring success. Is this me or you? I think this
It's
is
me.
There you go. Yeah.
So, keeping in mind that funders, policymakers, other supporters in your community might want to see what the impact their investment has made. So if you can track pre and post people's feelings of confidence, or the things that they understood before the training, the things they understood after, then you can, given time and the right people to do the analysis, I get that those don't always happen. You can share with your wider community, like, of the 500 people last year we trained, 25% are, feel more confident, or whatever the data point is. So if you can collect that data, that would be helpful in the long run. And to try to observe any changes that you see in folks. So let's say one of your learners is just clicking all over the place. They just aren't paying any attention. Maybe 6 months later, you can see them taking a little more time and reading through the things and maybe just deleting them. Or maybe even they're bragging about, like, oh, I avoided this scam altogether. And so that's some great stories that you can tell. And always be able to share that out with your community and raise the visibility, because the more you talk about it with your colleagues and funders, the more this becomes something that's a known problem that we all collectively need to address. If we don't make a big deal about it, what's the problem? And so because of Cybersecurity Awareness Month, it's a nice opportunity for us to showcase this now, but this happens every day, right? So continuing to collect that data and share it back out again.
All right. I think we are right on time for the Q&A.
So how we're going to run this is folks can add any questions they have to the chat. I believe you can select who it goes to. So select either Cynthia or myself. We also have Becca, who's helping out. So Becca, do you want to say more about how we can do Q&A, or share a story? We want
Yes,
this to happen.
absolutely. And just for the sake of time, everyone can unmute themselves. So if it takes you a bit to chat that question, and if you want to share a story or you want to share methodology or strategies that you use, please feel free to take yourself off chat. We'd love that. Or off mute, I mean, and enter chat.
I'd love to just share a story. One time I was talking to the neighborhood director with the local neighborhood council, and she said she works with older populations that don't use technology often, so she has to print off materials to send to people. Anyway, this one older gentleman got an email and said, okay, well, enter the Zoom room. He didn't know what Zoom was. So he went to the community resource, the building, and asked, is there a room upstairs, for the Zoom room? So just crazy stuff. I was wondering if you guys had put out resources for maybe like referring to your password as a letter, or using like real scenarios that people are familiar with. Like, you wouldn't want a suspicious looking person going through your mail or something, in order to kind of get that visual of this is your password and your information. You want to keep it secret. And if that's been effective at all, or any tips like that.
If I
Uh,
could speak, this is Becca. If I could speak a little bit to the teaching internet safety free materials that Cami was referring to. Your name just disappeared, but I believe that was you, Peter. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong, but that's a really good question. And actually, we all know that one of the most effective ways to teach is to connect new concepts to current concepts. And so our materials do use examples like that, specifically for passwords. And one that comes to mind relatively quickly, Peter, is just what you said of you wouldn't just not have any locks on your door. So locking important accounts is important, locking things is important to keep them private and safe. And a password is a key. And you want the strongest lock and a really good key that nobody can copy. And so that's one of the things that comes to mind, but we try to use other examples like that in order to drive home the point. But I'm sorry, Cynthia, you had started to say something.
No, that was you covered it. I was going to say yes, that is we do use examples like that, and specifically also try to come back with practical things people can do, methods for creating strong, unique passwords and keeping track of them in a way that is safe. So let's say that we've got that content coming out in the next few months of 3 different strategies for doing that people can adapt and use that to help have that combination of convenience and security. You want to, and that's often what it is. It's convenience versus security, right? You might have one lock on your front door, but if you've got all your papers in a safe, well, that's going to be a more complicated lock. So that also to explain things like the need for multi-factor authentication and why, yes, it's annoying, but it's you need those extra layers of locks because it's the really important stuff behind it.
Absolutely. You were right, Becca. That's me, Peter. Thank you so much, everyone.
Any other comments, questions, or stories folks would like to share?
I just want to mention, I don't know if anyone else is having this problem, but for me, the chat is disabled. So I don't know if there are folks who maybe can't get on mic and would have something to say, but
Thank you for that. We're really trying to lock down some of our security protocols, which is appropriate for the topic that we're discussing right now. But I do understand that it makes for less lively conversation. Thank you, Alyssa. And everyone, please just unmute yourself if chat isn't working. Thank you for that.
Can you send a link to the chat about the templates to teach, people for different reasons, like they don't want to present in front of people and voiceover, or I just think that's a good resource for us to have in our work to help educate people if we do classes or anything like that, or if we want to get into classes teaching people.
I put a link in the chat. I don't know if it went through, that goes to the digitalLIFT page that has the internet safety materials. Did that come through?
Okay, yeah, I see that.
Great. So you can go there and download, or it goes to our learning management system where you can download both the access the train the trainer and the curriculum. And then Cynthia, if you want to put a few of your links in the chat as well. But again, we'll be sending out a summary email with the link to the recording. So in the interest of time, do unmute and ask additional questions if you have them, but let's go to the next slide.
All right, so a few final thoughts, and get these. I guess I'm going to add a first one. Don't be afraid to repeat yourself, because you'll find you are doing that. That is one thing I found, and don't be afraid to do it. One of the things is you start to see patterns, and those are the most important things. So destigmatize, talk about the scams you've seen, share your stories, talk about why it's important for your learners to share their stories, why they shouldn't feel embarrassed. Now, and acknowledge that there are legitimate reasons for people not to want to share their stories, especially older adults. Sometimes they're worried about seeming to be vulnerable, and if they talk about scams at all, their kids or caregivers are going to think, oh, you aren't able to protect yourself, and they will lose more control of their lives. But what I like to share is to let people know, use the fact that you're hearing from me. So to start the conversation, to say, hey, I had this session with so-and-so, and we were talking about phishing scams, or we were talking about grandparent scams. And they said that the family, we really need to talk about this and come up with how are we going to recognize each other in an emergency? How are we going to confirm that we're really talking to who we think we're talking to? So that the next time there's a blizzard or a hurricane or whatever, we're helping each other and not scammers. Give them a way that they can start the conversations that they need to start without seeming vulnerable. Building trust with the community so that they feel comfortable sharing with you. That is a lot of what educating is about, becoming the one that they feel comfortable asking the dumb question and realizing that you're not going to think it's a dumb question. Don't forget to talk about what is safe to do. Because some people that go on the other side, some people, you got the guy that's just clicking around on everything, but then you've got the person who's afraid to engage at all. I've heard stories about people who won't answer their phone because they're afraid of somebody copying their voice. I'm like, well, okay, that can happen. But what are you giving up if you're not answering your phone at all? If you're not connecting to the services trying to help you. So what is safe to do? You can always read your email and think about whether the attachment is safe. You can always read your text messages without clicking the links in them. You don't have to be afraid of looking at it to make a decision. You don't have, so talk about what's safe to do as well. And because there are people who go way too far the other way. And then I stole this from somebody else because imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. An activity that everybody can do, because it can be hard. You tell people that, you call, if something is fishy, you don't call back the number, or you don't go to the website they tell you, you go to one you've independently verified. And if they're hesitant about using the internet at all, well, how do I know the number I looked up is correct? And they can get caught in this cycle of fear. So here's the way to do it. Next time you pay your bills, grab a piece of paper. And as you pay each bill, write down what's the name of the company, and then look on the bill and find the customer service number and write it down next to it. And then take every card out of your wallet, and if it's not already on that list, add it and the number on the back of the card. Now you've got a list of the companies you do business with. You've got a list of what's in your wallet. If you lose your wallet, you know what to cancel. And you've got a list of trusted numbers. So if anybody comes at you and says they're from Chase Bank, well, you've got Chase Bank's number. And it's a nice systematic way that they don't have to panic. And it can be one and done. And then they've got their trusted number list.
Great. So some additional resources for you to utilize within this topic. We did a webinar actually earlier this month for our Day of Equity, and this was with the Better Business Bureau and their BBB Insight. So we'll provide links to these in the post email, but that was a really great webinar and additional resources for the same topic. We have written several blog posts on this topic. So we have a part 1 and part 2. And then Cynthia, do you want to say anything about the deep fake-o-meter?
I do. So I just put a link to our website in the chat. From there, you can download Deep Cover free for either Apple or Android. You can get into Dart Academy. If you go to the resources tab, we have links to lots of all the trusted places to report. But one of the links you will find is labeled Deep Fake-o-meter. And that is a project by my colleague Siwei Liu at the University of Buffalo. He is one of the world's leading media forensics specialists. So if you've ever seen a newspaper article talking about the latest thing that turned out to be a fake, Taylor Swift endorsing Le Creuset or whatever it is, it's probably quoting him. And what he did with Deep Fakeometer is he took all of the different programs that people like himself have created to detect inauthentic media, and he pulled them together in one free user interface. So you can, instead of all of the paid services, first, they're not free, and they run one test, and they won't even explain what it is they're testing for, how they're determining whether something is fake or not. With Deep Fakeometer, you can run multiple tests for different things. It'll tell you what it's testing for, run multiple tests, and then take the consensus. So maybe the fake image you're looking at, they got the earlobes to match, but the reflections in the eyeballs don't match. It'll two different tests to detect that, and one will say it's real and one will say it's fake, and you can make the decision with an array. And I think he's got I know it's over 18. It may be closer to 30 now, different tests you can run. So if you ever want to check if something is real, there's a tool for doing it. But just remember, if anybody's asking, once they're asking for personal information or money, you always have to check it out, no matter how much you think you know them.
Thank you for that. All right, we are wrapping up. I have just two more slides here. So I wanted to share a discount we're making available for our training for trainers that's specifically for folks working with older adults. So I'll put this information in the chat. So if you or anyone, your colleagues, are interested in learning more about how to work with older adults and digital equity, this is a course that might be of interest to you. And we'll provide this in the post email that will go out on Monday. And I think our last slide is a thank you for attending. Here's our contact information. Please reach out to either of us with additional questions or stories that we can pepper into future presentations. So, Cynthia, would you like to have the last word?
Sure. I will just say, I mentioned that we've got group versions of the Dart Academy courses coming out. If you are interested in using those, please do email me. I just want to know how people are using it so I can collect the data, so I can hopefully get more funding, so that we can build more content. But just shoot me an email. We'll have a quick call. It's still free. I have to give you facilitator rights in the system. So I hope to hear from all of you in the future, and good luck with the good work you are doing.